A couple of weeks ago, I wrote this essay about an actual fire burning in my childhood home. At the time, it was simply about land, memory, and the idea of home. But since then, it seems like the world's caught on fire. Charlie Kirk was killed last week, and a girl on a bus just trying to make her way home from work was killed in plain sight of everyone as they watched. We've watched events unfold that shake us, that make us realize how fragile life really is, and how desperately we long for a place and a people to call home. What I wrote then feels even more relevant now, so I want to share it with you, but also, along the way, reflect on how it connects to the fire we're all facing together in this world. So as I read this, I would like to encourage you that when I am referring to the fire, to my home, to my land, to my memories in relationship to all of this, I want you to do your best to try to connect it to your memories, your childhood, your home, and the things and the people and places that actually shaped you. Keep in mind too that this essay was written a couple of weeks ago. Some of these numbers and dates are updated. My home is on fire. No, not the actual physical structure I spent many of my formative years living in, but the land and the place that I call and called home. Last weekend, the hills and forests surrounding our family farm were lit ablaze by random bolts of lightning in two different places. Since then, these fires have combined to burn over 11,000 acres and are currently burning out of control and listed as 0% contained. My brother is one of the local volunteer fire chiefs, and many people I know and call friends and family are literally in the heat of battle. My mom was even evacuated. Multiple times a day this past week, I have been moved to near tears as pictures pop up on my Facebook feed and other social media feeds of pictures and people in places that are involved in the fire, places that I knew and grew up in. Of course, I feel for the people that are suffering as a result of the fire and the many who are still at risk of losing their homes, but I also weep for something even more deeply personal to me. If those hills and forests could talk, they would tell tales of teenage boys boonie crashing in their first car on jerry-rigged racetracks, of wild packs of slightly feral, soon-to-be men climbing those peaks and pushing the largest rocks they could manage to budge down the mountainside and then chasing them down the path of destruction. They would also talk of moonlit hikes, forbidden romantic rendezvous, not mine of course, wintertime cold mud plunges, that one is worth its own story someday, and countless other tales of country living that few get to experience anymore, and many don't even believe possible, and they've only read about them in books, but I lived them. In many ways, this is also the tale of our country. Our entire country could tell stories and histories of things that we haven't ever seen and could never imagine. Pioneers, the Oregon Trail, wars, battles, bloodshed, families lost and sacrificed, people died along the way. They could also tell of great courage and great discoveries that up until then no one had known. This is what our country is built on. This is what we're founded on. This is what makes America what it is. And this is what makes any country, any homeland what it is these stories that you feel when you're a part of the land. Perhaps the most telling tales would be those of a man walking alone in the woods, trying to sort out where things went wrong in his life. How did he end up down the road that he did? He was out there, processing the decay and the destruction he had wrought in his own life. Sometimes that wilderness heard him scream. Sometimes it heard him cry. Sometimes it was quiet words between him and a God he was desperately trying to find again. Most often, though, it was silent as he quietly processed the series of choices and events that had led him to these moments. In the end, it was those woods and what they heard and felt that brought much of the healing that that man needed. They never offered advice or gave their opinion as to what he should do. They simply absorbed his words and pain without judgment. Again, I want you to take a moment and reflect upon how this may apply to your life and apply to this country and the issues and the times and the crisis that we are facing as a country and as people. Those woods were part of the forge that rebuilt him into the man he has now become. His path back began in those woods, in silent and quiet prayers. Now they are on fire, and the people in and around them are in fear and pain. All of them are crying out. I am crying out. All of us are crying out. Wherever you are crying out for some kind of relief. And yes, that man in the story is me. And my connection to that land, those rocks and those trees, goes beyond the physical. I found myself again there, in those woods, in those hills, and more importantly, found God again there. Actually, the truth is that He found me. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, while He did all the rest. I also found home again. For that is what that place will always be to me. It really is part of who I am, an integral character in my story. My connection goes beyond people, places, or things to an idea of home that you only experience on a soul level. When I am there, it feels like no other place on earth. Seeing it burn produces a pain so visceral that I don't know whether to cry or scream again. And I feel that same pain in regards to our country right now. Our country doesn't know which way to go. Things that we once thought were true and real, and that was the way that it was, seem to have been shaken to their core, and people are searching for answers. And they're pressing forward without fear and without shame once again. Some of you know what I'm talking about, specifically with that place. Some of you feel that same connection, but with another place or another people. But you also get what I'm saying, because home is something to everybody. Others of you have never experienced that, and that makes me truly sad. To have never found that place or people that is home to you, I can see it as truly tragic. For some of you, that place specifically, or that idea of home, is too painful to return to. The memories stir up feelings you never want to feel again. This too is tragic, and I pray you find healing and home again in your future. There are many reasons we all leave home. Sometimes we never really had it and are still searching for it. It's in our soul. We know that we need a home. Sometimes it's for love. Sometimes it's for opportunity. Sometimes it was meant to be temporary. But life and circumstances happened and we never quite make it back. That too is sad. Still other times we find new people and new places, and they begin to feel more like home than home ever did. And that was me. I wasn't expecting to find another home when I moved to Yakima. As a matter of fact, for years I thought it was just a pit stop on my journey to some other place, maybe even back home. And maybe you've been there too. Maybe you've found a new home, and maybe it feels like more like home than home ever did. But here I found my people, and to use the popular vernacular, my tribe. They surrounded me in my disgrace and accepted me as who I was without needing to know all my dirty past or judging me for the events that occurred before I even met them. Over the years, they have learned about my wreckage, but they accept and embrace me in the present. Warts, scars, and all. My connection with Northeast Washington and Marble has and will wax and wane over time, but in a very real sense, it will always be home. Still, I will not doubt that Yakima is where I am supposed to be now and for the foreseeable future, and it would likely take an act or the direct voice of God to pull me away, because this is now my home, my people. So please today, join me in praying for that place. Join me in praying for this place, this country, this America, this sense of home that we all want again, that sense of security and peace that we know is available to us. That sense that has popped up as we have watched recent events, as we saw a good man down on that university campus with thousands of eyes watching, including his wife and children. Something was shattered that day, but something was also revealed. Something's been missing, and I think we know what that is. It's a restoration of faith in truth, in who we truly know that we are, and in what this country is supposed to be. Join me in praying for that place that I and so many others have and do call home. Pray for rain, pray for the people affected, and pray for those gallantly fighting that inferno, this inferno here in our country too. As I stated earlier, my brother, David Glanville, is the local fire chief, so he could use a double portion of your prayer. I also offer up a prayer for each of you. I humbly ask God to protect and preserve your home, wherever and whoever that is. Maybe you need to go back and restore that feeling. Maybe you never had it. And in that case, I pray that you find it. So when I say pray for my home, I'm not just talking about the land in Washington. I'm talking about all the homes, our culture, our faith, our families. We need rain from heaven in more ways than one. And again, that same principle could apply to what is going on in this country right now. Our culture, our faith, our family, our American family needs prayer. And it needs rain and refreshing from heaven. This started with me saying that my home was on fire. The truth is that it is a piece of my soul that is burning. And yes, it is painful and destructive. But fire is also cleansing. And I pray that in the end, this one that we are all in. And while it is burning, you must always deal with the flames. But once it is out, and after some time has gone by, my hope is that you and I can start sifting through the ashes and find signs of that life again. Again, remember how this applies to our country today. Never forget the heat, or the flames, or the pain, or the process, or what was lost along the way, but always find peace where and when you are. Always look for and remember home, and always remember Charlie. Men, the world is on fire, but it's not enough to weep over the ashes. We're called to rise, rebuild, and protect what God has given us. Start with your own life. Start with your own home. Start with your own people. Because if we lose home, we lose everything. Now, I know I added a little bit of commentary in there because I just couldn't help it with the way that things have been happening and unfolding before us in this country these days. And as I read that for the first time since I actually wrote it, it struck me how closely the example of that fire is really to what is going on in our country right now. It is burning. It is on fire. And my hope and prayer is that that fire is cleansing for us. That we can burn away the things that don't need to be there and reveal the path and the place, and that we can reveal the possibility of new life, and that new life can spring from that. I know this was a little bit different of an episode, but thank you for listening to all of this. And if you like what I've got going on here, I'd appreciate it that if you would like the video, share it with your friends, and drop a comment down below.